reinforcement learning agent found a blind spot in my software and it has destroyed its own motor. It was a painful lesson. Software is the wrong place to put a safety guardrails. The guardrail belong to the hardware. So this week I'm bouncing back. I'm tearing down the mounting of the prototype I'm building, and the rebuilding would be from completely scratch. So I took this opportunity to show you exactly how I am designing the unbreakable version. Now a quick heads up, this channel is usually all about physical AI, control systems and robotics. But this week we are getting into the weeds of physical build. We are looking at OpenSCAD FreeCAD and slicing tools to 3D print the base parts or the parts I'm going to redesign from scratch. Because if the physical foundation is flawed, the AI will just optimize its way into breaking it again. Let's look at the new design. To fit the physical limit switches that will cut the power to the motor before those jams, I could not just modify the previous design. The geometry was kind of a lot complex to modify, so I had to start from the beginning. I decided to use OpenSCAD. For those who do not know, OpenSCAD is purely scripting-based 3D modeling software. You don't draw shapes there, you program them with maths and scripting. I actually spent the whole day vibe coding, and I didn't expect the vibe coding to take so long that planned 3 parts, I could only design one of the parts. It sounds slow, but this is how the vibe coding is. However, my philosophy of working was going super slow, but being super steady as well. By coding the hardware, I get absolute parametric control over every single millimeter, be it the size, be it the position, be it the relative location. If I need to change the servo clearance by a few millimeters or sub-millimeters, I can simply type in the value of clearance and it does clear it. Let me show you how the fail-safe are baked into the code. Look at these parameters. I have explicitly defined the operating limits. The angle right now I kept at 45 and 135 degrees. Right below that, I have switch cutouts or kind of engrossed into the base plate where the servo will be mounted. Right now it is an assumption that if the servo rotates, it will rotate the spooler above it, which is going to contain the string to pull the arm that will have some points which is going to hit the limit switch, and that is the physical trigger piece, which is printed or will be printed separately to perform match of the tendon spool. The switch will be connected or wired directly to the firmware, and that firmware will simply stop the motor going ahead, have some fallback, and send a message back to the script which is controlling the top level intelligence. This way, it bypasses the 400 millisecond lag, which I have been talking about in my previous videos. The 400 millisecond latency that caused the crash in the first place. Now the code dictates the physical boundaries, and those physical boundaries protect the code. Once OpenSCAD compiles the mesh into place, we will put it into the slicer. I'm running all of these CAD and slicer in a desktop, which is of 24K and having nearly 4 gigs of RAM. It handles the simulation and the compiling, also the slicing. But it definitely forces you to be patient and deliberate with your geometry. You can't just throw millions of unoptimized polygons to it. Slicing the actuator base requires some careful thought about structural integrity. The tendon spool has a complex thread pitch of 2.5 millimeters, and I need the bond of the layer perfect so the tension of the right tendon does not snap the plastic. I have printed one of the 3 parts here. You can see the servo is going inside here, and the limit switch is basically a plain print but still giving me some ideas. The printing accuracy is flawless. The slow code first approach is paying off. So where are we right now? I have the base printed. I still need to print the spool and the trigger mechanism. After that, I have to wire this into the firmware to veto the control to save my cheap servos. Designing this from absolute scratch took a lot of patience with vibe coding, but it guarantees that any small change I need in the future will give a good output when we retrain with reinforcement learning. Now I can be peaceful, as once this is in place, the reinforcement learning agent will be free to go to any limits without being worried to break itself and explore all the random positions and combinations to learn how to drive in this likely environment. If you want to see this fully assembled, wired up, tested against the AI, hit subscribe. I am building intelligence system, but I have to build first a physical foundation. I'll see you in the next update when I finally bring this next prototype into the light.